Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we begin the NNSCRA's version of the NR2003 Big One. Of course, we are setting up now with today's heat races, the drivers that will be competing for Team NNSCRA when the NNSCRA takes on the other five corporations, if you will, leagues that are taking part in this, the NIRA, the NOFSRL, knew I was going to mess one up along the way, the NRSL, the NROL, and TRN. Now here today we will be determining 4 drivers that will be racing for Team NNSCRA. The other 3, they'll be taking place, and we'll be finding them out in the LCQ next week. There'll be 2 heat races here today at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway. In this first one, which is going to take place under daytime conditions, the top 2 finishers will advance as a part of Team NNSCRA, and then later on tonight, the other 2 will transfer that finish first and second in that one. So that means it's going to leave us a total of 16 drivers that will battle it out for 3 spots in next week's LCQ. And then, of course, you'll get to see the culmination, the entire thing take place over on Nathan Stapleton's channel when Team NNSCRA will have their 7 drivers against the other league's 7 individual drivers. So, let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports, and then we'll give you a look at the starting lineup and the 20 drivers that are competing for those 7 spots to be a part of Team NNSCRA.
Drivers, start your engines!
So as the command is given, pole sitter is going to be Jacob Thibodeau in the 09. Now let's hope I don't mess up the camera angles to get to him. I did. There we go. So he's going to be rolling off from the pole. We've already got an issue for somebody. That looked like that was Jordan Lopez in the 01. And didn't look like he was able to roll off the grid. So it looks like he'll have to rely on the second heat race later on. That's going to definitely mess up the grid as well, as the outside line is going to have to catch up. Front row is there, though, as DJ Reed will line up on the outside of Thibodeau. You've got the 5 of Kyle Matthews, the 6 of Adam Garcia, Cody Smart in the 02, Levi McIntyre in the 8, James Qualls in the 11, Michael Norman in the 3, Jessica Shelton in the 9, Ashlyn Boyd in the 07, Carson Gum in the 2, as Ryan Brommer brings that outside line along with him, catching back up to the field now. Behind him, you've got Alex Gray in the 10. Then it's Zach Winkle there in the 4, Ryan Butcher in the 7, Daniel Voiles there in the 8 car, John Gilbert in the 00, Nathan Ormans in the 1, and Matt McIntyre in the 04, and there you see Jordan Lopez sitting on pit road. So he obviously will more than likely not get out on the racetrack before we go green, and really there's not a whole lot of time for him to be able to catch enough cautions to get back in contention in this heat, so he will definitely have to be relying on the second heat today if he is going to get one of the 4 available transfer spots in today's 2 events. A lot of names that you will recognize, and a lot of names that I recognize as well that have not been very recent here on this channel. Zach Winkle, it's been a long time since he's been in a race that I've commentated. Same for Alex Gray, same for John Gilbert, same for Ashlyn Boyd. Great to have these guys back as the green flag's in the air. 10 laps of racing at Coca-Cola for heat race number 1. There are a couple of drivers here as well, including our front row, that I have never, at least to my knowledge, commentated a race with them in it, Thibodeau and Reed. And I thought there was another driver that I didn't recognize the name as well that was part of this, and apparently I'm wrong, because I do recognize everybody else in the list. Already over 225 miles per hour down the back straightaway here. This track can hold them 3 wide, but they don't stay 3 wide for very long because usually the outside line does not have a lot of help, and whoever gets caught in the outside line fades to the back very quickly. That's Alex Gray there in the 10 that got caught up on the top side. Down that inside line, you've got Adam Garcia leading a charge, and as soon as I say that, he gets forced 3 wide by Cody Smart as the top 2 single file, Thibodeau and Kyle Matthews. Kyle Matthews realizing that you don't have to win this race to transfer into the main event. You just have to finish in the top 2. Contact back there, some bouncing back and forth. That was the 8 of Levi McIntyre between, I believe that was Zach Winkle and I think the 07 of Ashlyn Boyd. They were 4 wide for a brief moment coming off of turn 2, and somehow we got through that without a wreck taking place. Ryan Brommer up there on the top side fading back, and now McIntyre up and out of the dark gray. He'll start losing some ground as well. Here come a couple of dodges to the inside. Michael Norman in the 3, Jessica Shelton in the 9, and we've got a change for second. Cody Smart has moved into the second position, so now he's in a transfer spot as Matthews and Norman are side by side for third place. And I should mention as well, where these drivers that do not transfer in spots 1 and 2, where they finish this heat is where they will start in the second heat later on tonight. So these drivers here, while they may not necessarily be battling for a transfer spot in third, they are potentially battling for the pole sitter of the second heat, as we've got a battle for the lead. Cody Smart to the inside, Jacob Thibodeau, nobody up on that outside line going to help him, and just like that, he was leading in a transfer spot. Now he's back in a battle for third as Norman moves into the second position. Here comes Ashlyn Boyd and that Jack Daniels Chevrolet, though, looking for the second spot. Ryan Brummer, we saw fade to the back. I don't know if he's riding right now or if he might be in danger of losing the draft. Got a couple new faces up here towards the front. How about John Gilbert there in that 00? Right behind him, Carson Gum, the Miller Lite Dodge, and Daniel Voiles there as well in the 08. And I think I heard an idling engine. No, I did not. I thought maybe I heard Jordan Lopez maybe have gotten back out on track, but no, he has not. Looks like they may just call it a day, at least here for this heat, and push it back behind the wall, get ready for the second heat race. The tough break for him is he will be starting dead last in that heat race, though, because he's going to finish dead last in the first heat race. Second place, battle is on again. Michael Norman peeks to the inside on Ashlyn Boyd. One thing about Coca-Cola is you can make a move to the inside in the straightaways by yourself, but when you get into the corners, you better hope you've got someone behind you to help push you, and looks like he is going to have John Gilbert that will help him. John Gilbert now may have thoughts about going for that second position. How about the manufacturers we got up here? A Ford in first, a Dodge in second, a Toyota battling with a Chevrolet for third. So a lot of different manufacturers up here towards the front of the field. Right now, the marked man is that Pennzoil number 3 of Michael Norman, because he is in the second and final transfer spot here in this heat race. Saw the 04 there, Matt McIntyre, fade towards the back. I think he got out of the groove for a brief moment. I thought something might be wrong. And speaking of something, we may have something here for the lead. Norman is right up on the back bumper of Cody Smart. Here he comes to the inside for the race lead. And that's going to kick the 02 to the top side. That opens the door for Ashlyn Boyd to go for the second spot. And here comes Nathan Ormond up here in that 1 car, along with the 6 of Adam Garcia. So as we have reached the second half of this first heat, we're starting to see some new faces working towards the front. Ooh, I thought we might be 3 wide as Ashlyn Boyd peeks a nose to the inside of Norman. And Nathan Ormond is right there as well. We're going to be 3 wide here down the front stretch. Nope, instead they say single file. Now we're 3 wide. That's Adam Garcia forcing the lower lane. Jessica Shelton and Kyle Matthews right behind him. And they're going to follow him on that further inside lane. Michael Norman just barely squeezes down in front of Nathan Ormond. Now tries to block the inside line. And I think he might have the 6 car cleared. Yes, he does. He'll hang on to second, at least for the moment. Michael Norman throwing some aggressive blocks, but that's what he's got to do here if he's going to hold on to a transfer position. Now it's all smooth sailing out in front for the moment for Ashlyn Boyd. Here comes Garcia, though. Run to the inside of Michael Norman. Jessica Shelton going to ditch the fellow Dodge driver Norman. She'll go to the bottom. Slip by for third. Here come more drivers looking for some spots. Kyle Matthews there, as well as Zach Winkle and James Qualls. Here we go. 3 wide for the lead. Shelton down low. In the middle, Adam Garcia. Way up top side is going to be Ashlyn Boyd as they will continue this 3 wide formation into turn 1. Boyd way up out of the groove, and he's going to fade back very quickly. Here comes Kyle Matthews for second on Garcia. as Shelton now continues to lead the way. This is about 2.5 laps remaining, so still plenty of time for anybody to make their way either to first or to second place. Matthews still side by side with the 6. That slows both of them down and brings Zach Winkle into the picture, as well as James Qualls in the 11. And Michael Norman, he faded back, but he only faded back as far as 6th. He's now working his way back to the front. He's got Daniel Voiles right there with him. Meanwhile, closer to the front, 3 wide potentially for second between Qualls, Winkle, and Matthews. Matthews tries to tuck down in front of Winkle. He'll succeed in doing so the battle is now for third. Qualls now going to get a big run on Matthews, who in turn gets to the inside of Jessica Shelton for the race lead. Now what does Qualls do? Does he push Kyle Matthews to the front, or does he try going for the lead himself down here in turn 3? Here comes Michael Norman with a big run as well there. He's going to maybe make a move on Shelton. He's going to succeed in doing so into 3. He'll go to 3rd. Voiles looks for 4th. Garcia looks for 5th. What does Qualls do? He's got Norman all over his back bumper. He's got to either block Norman or try and make Kyle Matthews have to deal with Michael Norman, as Norman now dives to the inside as the white flag is displayed. Matthews going to try and mirror drive. Qualls able to stay in the draft at the 5, was able to hold Michael Norman at bay. Ooh, a slip up there for James Qualls in turn 1. Now he's got Norman on his back bumper again. Kyle Matthews just has to run the inside line here through 3 and 4. He'll win the heat, but what about this battle for second? Remember, it's a transfer spot. Now Voiles to the inside of Norman for 3rd. That might do it. James Qualls, if he just rides in the tire tracks of Matthews, both of them will transfer into the main event here for Team NNSCRA, as off turn 4 for the final time. They've got about 2 car lengths back to 3rd. Matthews, Qualls, they'll come to the line. Matthews wins, Qualls gets 2nd. They're into the main event for Team NNSCRA here in the first heat of the day. Daniel Voiles will have to settle for 3rd, but he will be the pole sitter for tonight's second heat race, and he'll start alongside of Michael Norman in that front row. But Kyle Matthews and James Qualls, drivers here and winners in Heat 1. They'll be spectators in Heat 2, as they can rest easy now knowing that they will be in one of the 7 spots for Team NNSCRA in the NR2003 Big One. Remember, where the other drivers from 3rd on down finished are where they will respectively start in the second heat. So row 1 will be Voiles and Norman, row 2 Smart and Brommer, and on down through. A couple of drivers that were up at the front there in the closing stages that faded to the back very quickly. Ashlyn Boyd was out in front for a couple of laps, fell to 13th. Shelton fell all the way back to 15th when she was out in front with about 2 laps to go. And our pole sitter, Jacob Thibodeau, he really faded to the back, started this race in 1st and fell all the way back to finish in 16th. Jordan Lopez, valve issue is what caused him to not even be able to get off the grid, but he will start 18th for our second heat. 18 drivers will be left to battle for 2 spots here tonight at Coca-Cola. Don't go anywhere. We'll have footage of that coming up in just a moment. So as we get set here for our second heat race, it'll be 18 drivers here in this field. Still 2 spots up for grabs, 2 transfer spots to make it into the main event. And then the remaining 16 drivers will have to rely on the LCQ next week, where the top 3 in that one will advance. You can see that it is much darker here at Coca-Cola Speedway. Overcast now as the nighttime hours begin to settle in. That means that the track, I don't know if it necessarily had enough time, but if it did, the track's going to be a little bit cooler. Means it's going to be a little bit more grip, and we're probably going to see much more aggressive moves out of these drivers in this heat than we saw in the first heat, if that can be believed. 10 laps of racing here in this second heat as well, and again, much like we saw, same rules apply that were in the first heat. First and second place will transfer into the main event. They will join the drivers that currently are locked in for Team NNSCRA, that being Kyle Matthews and James Qualls. Here we go, then Daniel Voiles and Michael Norman, they finished 3rd and 4th in the first heat, subsequently start on the front row here for the second heat. We saw with the case of Jacob Thibodeau, though, that starting on the pole position doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be up at the front all day long. As the green flag's in the air, let's roll in heat number 2. Just want to state as well that the other 5 organizations will be posting their heat races during the span of the 12th to the 14th of July. So be sure to head over and check out their respective heat races. You can find all their channels down in the description of this video. 3 wide already. That is John Gilbert on the bottom with help from Alex Gray, and they're going to have a big run here into turn 3. We could be 3 wide several rows deep, and we are. Wow, a lot of drivers right there just bailed out of the throttle, whether they were in that second or third groove. It's like almost everybody on that middle to high line came to a dead stop. That shoots Gilbert and Gray to the lead, but here comes Ashlyn Boyd, Jessica Shelton. They're moving to 3rd and 4th past Cody Smart. And Levi McIntyre, who started, if I remember correctly, back around the 16th, 15th, or 16th position here in this heat race, he's already up inside the top 6. Jessica Shelton definitely on a mission here. She was up front with about 2 to go in the first heat race and fell all the way back outside the top 10. As I hit the wrong key there, Alex Gray now going to go for the race lead. Looks like these drivers, you're probably wondering, now why are they battling for the race lead if they're running second? Of course, that would be a transfer spot, but it'd be a lot easier to be able to battle and hold off someone for the race lead than it would a whole pack of hungry drivers wanting the second position. If you are in the second spot, you're basically a big piece of meat dangling on a hook over a pool of sharks, it seems. Cody Smart now to the inside, and he's not only going to get Ashlyn Boyd for second, he's going to go to the race lead on Alex Gray. Here comes Levi McIntyre as well in the 8. He's bringing along Jacob Thibodeau and Matt McIntyre. No relations between those McIntyres, but I don't think that they would let that stand in the way of working together to try and finish first and second in this heat. Cody Smart now has opened up a little bit of distance between himself and this battle for second. Normally not a good thing at a super speedway to have a big gap between yourself and the car behind you. That allows the car behind you, and of course if there's others behind him, to catch up to you very quickly, and if they make a move, there's no way you can stop that momentum. Thibodeau will now move to second. Battle between the McIntyres for third. Matt on the bottom, Levi up top. And of course that top side loses a lot of momentum going into the corner, more so into 3 than into turn 1. And now Matt McIntyre will battle for second place with Thibodeau. And I'll tell you what, Adam Garcia, seems like every time I see him making a move, he's always going down 3 wide to the inside. He was making some moves 3 wide in Heat 1. He's making moves 3 wide here in Heat 2. The question is, does he get anybody to go with him is what his issue is, as he is going to move to the front. Nathan Ormond right behind him, as Matt McIntyre now out in front in that hefty mobile. Second place battle between a couple of Fords. Cody Smart on the bottom, Adam Garcia up top. Actually, how about I'm dyslexic? It's the other way around. Garcia was on the bottom and Smart was up top. As Nathan Ormond now will move into third behind Garcia, and now Ormond's going to go for the second spot himself. He saw that big run that Chevy's Ashlyn Boyd and Jordan Lopez had, and don't forget Jordan Lopez. Remember, he finished dead last in the first heat. Did not even take the green flag as they had a valve issue. He started dead last in this heat. He's now up to the 5th position. What a comeback story it would be for this team if they were able to transfer into the main event after the hardships they had in the first heat. Battle for the lead is on. Matt McIntyre has it. Adam Garcia wants it. And he's going to have Ashlyn Boyd move low with him. Nathan Ormond up top side with a 0-4 contact going into turn 1 between Garcia and McIntyre. Pretty sure there was contact. If not, it was the closest you can get to not having contact, because I think there might have been some paint exchanged between the right front of the Viagra Ford and the left rear of the hefty Chevrolet. They settled it out, though. They managed to keep it straight. Garcia to the lead, and now Matt McIntyre under fire from Nathan Ormond for second place. Here come the Dodges. Jessica Shelton there in the 5th position. How about Carson Gum there in 6th? And Ashlyn Boyd says, all right, you guys are going to slow your momentum. I'm not lifting. I'm going 3 wide for second place. And Jessica Shelton going to continue that run there as well. As look at this, Matt McIntyre way up out of the gray, and he kept his foot in the throttle and somehow is going to maintain his position. That says to me right there that the cooler conditions here heading towards evening time are allowing these drivers to be able to have a little bit more grip on the top side than they had in the first heat race. Ashlyn Boyd all over the back bumper now of Adam Garcia as this heat is winding down. These drivers, their aggressiveness is going to ramp up more and more. Ashlyn Boyd now peeks to the inside. Nobody to help. Now Carson Gum jumps down low. Is that going to allow Ashlyn Boyd to get to the left rear of the 6 going into turn 1? No. It's going to be Garcia hanging onto the spot. Oh, Ashlyn Boyd got a little tight there in the entry, slid up a couple of grooves, now hangs it onto it, and now gets the momentum on the backstretch looking for the lead. Carson Gum right there with him. Neither of them going to be able to get much momentum as Jordan Lopez there in 4th. Now side by side with Jacob Thibodeau. Here comes Carson Gum for the 2nd position. How ironic is this to see the 6 and the 2? Remember Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace. Wallace had his last call. Mark Martin had his salute to 6 in 2005, and they're 1-2 right now with Garcia and Gum behind the wheels of those respective cars. Here comes the pole sitter from the first heat race, Jacob Thibodeau. He was up front early, faded to the back. Well, he started at the back early in this one, wants to finish up at the front as he's now battling with Carson Gum, and here comes Jordan Lopez. How about that 0 of Ryan Brommer as well? We didn't see him very much at the front in the first heat race. Now he's up here inside of the top 7. Jessica Shelton with a big run. They're going to go 3 wide for 3rd, maybe for 2nd. No, it's for 3rd as Thibodeau will take the 2nd spot, and this time by will be the white flag. It's looking like it's going to be more of a battle for 2nd in this heat race than it is for the lead. Nobody really has made a challenge since Garcia took the lead, and as soon as I say that, here comes Jacob Thibodeau for the top spot, and if they are side by side into turn 1, that's going to slow them down and bring 3rd place on back right up here into the mix for this transfer position. Shelton's going to get the spot. She'll move to 2nd. Lopez trying to take 3rd. Now Shelton is the one that's being hunted, unless she might have thoughts about the race lead from Jacob Thibodeau. She's getting a run on him here into turn 3. Will Shelton make a move for the lead? Can Lopez make a move for 2nd? Into turns 3 and 4. Looks like too big of a gap for Lopez to close up, as Thibodeau is going to get the win here in the 2nd heat race. Jessica Shelton will transfer in 2nd. Heat race over. Thibodeau with the win. And so it will be Kyle Matthews, James Qualls, Jacob Thibodeau, and Jessica Shelton who have transferred into 4 of the 7 spots for Team NNSCRA in the NR2003 Big One. How about that? Almost kind of a complete opposite for Thibodeau. Started on the pole for the first heat race, and I think he finished that heat race back in 15th or 16th. And then he starts back around the, I think it was probably 14th in this heat race, and he managed to work his way up to the front and finish in P1. Jessica Shelton, we mentioned about her being up at the front late in the first heat race, and she faded back outside of the top 15 in that one. She managed to work her way up here to 2nd place, held on, and she transfers as well. For 3rd place on back, they're all going to have to rely on the LCQ next week. I think Jordan Lopez might be sitting there thinking, what if he had a 3rd place running car in this first heat race? He would have had good starting track position for the first heat race. I think he would have started in the 4th position, if I'm not mistaken, had he not had the mechanical problem, and he could very well have not even had to take part here in the 2nd heat race. He might have already have transferred in had he been allowed to. But that is going to do it here for our 2 heat races for Team NNSCRA. So far, 4 of the 7 spots have been filled. Kyle Matthews won the first heat race with James Qualls 2nd, and then Jacob Thibodeau won the 2nd heat race with Jessica Shelton 2nd. Those 4 are in. The other 3 drivers will be determined next week in the NNSCRA LCQ. Hope you guys enjoyed both these heats here from Coca-Cola, though. If you did, be sure to give me a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. And we will see you guys next week for the LCQ. Again, to be able to see the heat races for the other 5 organizations, check down in the description below. The links to all of their channels are there. And you can check out and see who for their respective teams are going to be in via their heats. And then, of course, next week in their LCQs as well. Until then, though, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.